Young Su he traveled to the Douluo Continent and became the only grandson of the male lion Douluo worshipped in the martial soul hall. He was driven by Qian Renxue from a young age to become a young bamboo horse boy. Let's see how Su he changed the fate of the martial soul hall against the heavens, took the immortal grass with foresight, led the golden generation to crush the 7 monsters, unified the martial soul hall, inherited the position of God King, regained the glory of angels, and fought against the Shura Sea God. Note: the female protagonist of this book, Qian Renxue, is a master of Tang Dynasty's 3 abuses. In the later stages of this book, there is hostility towards Bibi-dong, fans of Helena and fans of the original work. Please take a detour. Newcomers write, don't spray if you don't like it. Thank you. Book Friend Group 9129162448 Keywords of the novel. Douluo's Golden Lion Haotian no pop-ups, Douluo's Golden Lion Haotian TXT Complete Collection Download, Douluo's Golden Lion Haotian Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. The Storm of the Divine Realm, The Beginning of Crossing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The Storm of the Divine Realm, The Beginning of Crossing Douluo Star, the Center of the Divine Realm. Shura. As a law enforcement god, you know how to break the law. What crime should you commit? The Destruction God King's staff, dressed in purple divine attire, pointed to the blood-red figure across from him and sternly demanded. I don't need anyone to point fingers at my affairs, the blood-red figure said perfunctorily, seemingly indifferent to this questioning. Do you and Poseidon really pretend that no one else knows about the dirty things you and Poseidon did to the angels? The god of destruction squinted his eyes and said reluctantly. Don't challenge my bottom line again, Shura. It's best not to cause any trouble with the soul you're stuffing into the Douluo plane this time. I'll keep an eye on him. If you continue to violate the law, don't blame me for convening the Divine Realm Committee to hold you accountable. Humph. The blood-red figure let out a cold snort, and suddenly disappeared into the Sea God Hall. Oh, why did our Shura Lord come to me? He's such a rare guest. Poseidon, the Sea God, said with a playful smile that he had a close personal relationship with the Shura God, and it was common for them to visit each other. Poseidon, our previous covert activities have already been detected by the guy who destroyed us. Recently, he has been keeping a close eye on me. You need to take care of that kid in the lower world, and the benefits will come from you, said the Shura God King with a serious expression and in a deep voice. It is obvious that he is very dissatisfied with the actions of the God of Destruction, but he cannot find a reason to refute the other party. After all, it was indeed he who violated the rules of the divine realm and, together with the sea god Poseidon, used conspiracies and trickery to force the angel god to be reincarnated. Therefore, we can only find help from the sea god who is also involved in the plan. Don't worry, just leave it to me, the sea god said with a serious expression. I will let the forces in the lower realm take good care of him. After all, I really don't want to stay in this divine realm for a whole day. The sea god was born to break free and had long wanted to pass down his divine position in order to gain the opportunity to travel the universe. The Shura God King threw Tang San into the Douluo Continent and planned a route for him to inherit the dual divine positions, which ultimately met his wishes. Douluo Continent, Martial Soul Hall, Worship Hall, Xiahizi, wake up. Today is the day when you awaken your martial soul at the age of 6. The blonde girl pushed open the boy's room door and suddenly lifted his blanket. Wait a moment. Sister Schwer, let me sleep a little longer. The brown-haired boy turned his back and said in a daze, his sleepy eyes still hazy. Before he could react, the girl had already ridden up. Let you sleep again. Sleep. The girl saw that she couldn't wake him up, so she reached out her tender white hand and pinched his ear. Pain. I'll come right away after learning about Sister Schwer. The girl snorted coldly as she saw the boy obedient and walked out of the room. I'll wait for you in the main hall. The girl left the room after leaving a sentence. The young man, named Su He, is a Blue Star student who, due to an accident, was reincarnated and came to Douluo Continent to become the only grandson of Douluo, the fourth lion worshipped in the martial soul hall. He is 6 years old this year. The girl who just left is naturally the granddaughter of Angel Douluo Qian Renxue, one of the 3 peerless Douluo worshipped in the current martial soul hall, and also the daughter of Pope Qian Sunji in the current martial soul hall, Qian Renxue. The two of them were childhood sweethearts, and Qian Renxue often bullied Su He, who had not yet awakened his martial soul, by taking advantage of his 6-year-old age. I don't know what kind of martial soul I will awaken. I'm really looking forward to it. Su He stretched lazily and slowly walked out of the room to wash up. Tang-san, since I was born in the martial soul hall, I will have a fight with you. When Su He read novels in his previous life, he often felt aggrieved by the ending suffered by the martial soul hall. There is certainly a factor in this, such as Bibidong's reckless behavior, but the calculation of the gods in the divine realm is the main reason. Now, relying on his advantage of reading novels with foresight, Su He feels that he has the ability to do something for the martial soul hall. As the only grandson of the 4 sacrificed lion Douluo, Su He has a high probability of inheriting the flame lion martial soul of the lion Douluo, a top-level beast martial soul that combines strength and speed with strong fire attributes. This is also one of the reasons why he is fearless. With his high status, Su He was surrounded by people who flattered him. Su He also showed his kindness to them without hesitation, but he never forgot the improvement of his own strength. Behind the rigorous training of the lion Douluo during the day, Su He still meditates and concentrates in his spare time. This is a high-level meditation idea hidden in the temple of worship. Although its quality is not as good as the original protagonist Tang San's Shen Gong, it also provides considerable assistance. This also led to Su He having a physical and mental strength that was completely incompatible with a 6-year-old child. The side hall of the worship hall where Su He currently resides is exactly where the families of the 7 major worshippers reside. The worship hall is the tallest peak in the martial soul hall of the Soul Master Holy Land, and only Super Douluo who have reached level 96 or above are eligible to enter. This is also the top power in the martial soul hall. As the level of Soul Master cultivation increases, the difference in soul power between each level is very huge, not to mention the title Douluo level. The powerful power of the worshippers in the Hall of Worship is also the greatest reliance that the Hall of Martial Souls can rely on to span over the 2 empires. Suha arrived at the entrance of the main hall and saw a group of guards dressed in black heavy armor surrounding the entrance. This team is all composed of strong players above level 50 Soul King, and the leader of the escort team is a Soul Saint with a soul power of up to level 78. Seeing Su He arrive, the captain of the guard showed a serious smile on his face and nodded, directing his subordinates to clear a path. And Su He also bowed to him with a bow. Suha knew that the reason why the captain of the guard could be so polite to him was because of Suha's grandfather, Xiongshi Douluo. He still had far from the capital to play big cards. Be humble with others, and there will always be unexpected benefits in the future. Exhaling for breath, Su He climbed up the 3,000 steps of the sacrificial hall, and even his physique couldn't help but feel a bit overwhelmed. The sacrifice hall is truly the most elevated place in this martial soul hall, even the layout of this main hall is so grand. Sister Schwer with wings is good, Su He couldn't help but think to himself. In the center of the main hall, there are 3 seats on each side and 1 in the middle, totaling 7 seats. There are 3 worshippers present today, namely the Great Offering, Su He's grandfather's 4 offering, and the 5 offering light feather Douluo with a youthful appearance. Qian Renxue had already been waiting in the main hall for a long time, and it was she who brought out the secluded offering to observe Su He's awakening of martial soul. Grandpa, Grandpa, Grandpa 5. Su He walked forward and respectfully bowed one by one, He, no gift. The majestic voice of the 1,000 paths of the Great Offering came, today, Lao Si, let you personally awaken Xiaohe's martial soul. He, What Big Brother said is true. The middle-aged man with a bearded face, also known as Su-he's grandfather, Xiongshi Douluo, walked slowly and touched Su-he's head with a kind smile on his face. Xiaohe, reach out your right hand, said Xiongshi Douluo. At his level, he no longer needs to rely on the awakening stone to awaken Su-he's martial soul. With his deep soul power at level 97 meticulous control of soul power, Xiongshi Douluo can directly awaken Su-he's martial soul. Feeling the stimulation of external soul power, Su-he felt a force in his body being awakened, and the sudden sound also pulled Su-he into contemplation. Newcomer posts, please give me more guidance. Book Friend Group 912916248 sincerely hope that readers can join the group and discuss together. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Jedi Golden Lion, Apprentice Golden Crocodile. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Jedi Golden Lion, Apprentice Golden Crocodile. Ding, the awakening of the host's martial soul has been detected, and the divine creation system has been activated. This system aims to help the host climb to the top of the plane by releasing tasks. A ethereal mechanical electronic sound sounded in Su-he's heart, and he was delighted to hear it. The standard configuration of the walkthrough was indeed not late. The beginner's gift package has been delivered, including 1 chance for soul evolution, 1 mixed element shaping pill, 1 body method combat skill of 3000 thunder moves, and 1 designated fairy grass gift box. The system's emotionless voice continues to ring. Does the host view the panel? Yes. Su-he answered without hesitation in his heart name. Su-he age. 6 martial soul. Jedi Lion, about to awaken, congenital soul power. 9.5 skill. 3000 thunder moves item. Mixed element plastic body pill *1, designated fairy grass gift box *1, it seems that my martial soul has not inherited my grandfather's flame lion, but has mutated and lost the attribute of flame. Su-he thought, system, what are the characteristics of my Jedi Lion martial soul? The martial soul of the Jedi Lion is stronger than the flame lion in terms of physique, and when it becomes the Soul King, it will have a special talent soul skill. Jedi counterattack. Have a 5-minute back-to-back combat state when in poor condition and soul power is below 10%. Attack power, defense power, speed doubled, cooldown time of 1 week. But losing the ability of flames, it belongs to the top-level beast martial soul, and is on the same level as the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. The host can use the opportunity for soul evolution to upgrade their soul. The sound of the system rings again. Use the opportunity for martial soul evolution, Su-he excitedly said in his heart. Evolutionary selection begins. Evolution Route 1. Red Lotus Lion description. Obtaining the evolutionary path of ultimate fire, able to control the Red Lotus fire to burn enemies, and on par with the Jedi Lion in terms of stamina. Evolutionary Route 2. The Jedi Golden Lion description. An evolutionary path that significantly enhances physical fitness. The Jedi Golden Lion, with the bloodline of the Golden Dragon King, possesses an indestructible physique, incredibly sharp claws and infinite power, and has a natural affinity for gunmetal. Inheriting the innate skills of the Jedi Lion, it is a super beast that can rival the Dark Gold Claw Bear. System, I choose Evolution Route 2. After a brief thought, Su-he had already made a choice in his heart. The flame of the Red Lotus Lion is certainly powerful, but the Jedi Golden Lion, which has reached its ultimate physical strength, clearly meets Su-he's expectations. The evolution of the martial soul is complete. The sound of the system fell silent, and Su-he also returned to reality. At this moment, the power in Su-he's body was finally induced and fully activated by the soul power of the male lion Douluo. A powerful golden lion roared up to the sky, as if announcing the arrival of the king of beasts in the new era. At this time, all the beast soul masters in the martial soul city with soul power not exceeding level 70 felt the palpitations emitted by the martial soul. This is a natural suppression from the quality of martial souls, and the evolved Jedi Golden Lion can be said to be the strongest martial soul below the divine level, without any one. At this moment, while watching Qian Renxue, his mouth was already in shock. Even the male lion Douluo who awakened his martial soul for him, as well as Qian Daolu and Guanling Douluo who were standing beside him, couldn't help but feel surprised. Especially the lion Douluo, he could already feel that his grandson's martial soul qualities surpassed his own flame lion, and at this moment, the old man's face was full of smiles. "Old lion, your grandson's martial soul is extraordinary." The nearby Guanling Douluo approached and carefully examined the Jedi Golden Lion. "Of course, Xiaohe is the grandson of the old man and naturally has exceptional talent," said the lion Douluo proudly. "Xiaohe, let's test our soul power again." After speaking, he took out a crystal ball to test his soul power and asked Su He to put his hand on it. The crystal ball suddenly burst into a dazzling light. "Born with full soul power," said the lion Douluo happily, "it seems that the evolution of martial soul has replenished my innate soul power at level 9.5. Su He thought to himself, indeed, it is innate full soul power, truly blessed by heaven in the martial soul hall. Qian Daolu also appeared very happy. There was a little angel with innate level 20 soul power first, and then a little lion with innate full soul power. Why worry about the martial soul hall in the next few decades? Although he has innate soul power, Xiaohe is still not as powerful as me, he. Qian Renxue said mischievously, "But fighting sister will make you order it." Suha smiled helplessly, as Sister Schwer always likes to bully her. This competitiveness seems to be innate, always wanting to surpass oneself in all aspects. "Xiaohe, feel the characteristics of your martial soul and tell us a few about it, so that we can plan for your future cultivation," said Xiongshi Douluo seriously. "It's better to leave this matter to me." At this moment, a spirited voice came from not far away. The person wearing a golden crocodile robe was undoubtedly the second-level worshipped golden crocodile Douluo with a soul power of 98. Its status in the martial soul hall was extraordinary, second only to the existence of the great offering Qian Daolu. Second Grandpa. Su He and Qian Renxue quickly stood up and saluted. The male lion Douluo and Guanling Douluo next to them met the visitor and called them second brother. Xiaohe's martial soul belongs to the golden category, and has many similarities with my golden crocodile king. Let me teach you, fourth brother. You should also rest assured, golden crocodile Douluo said slowly, that's great. In the end, Douluo made a final decision. It's not as good as Xiaohe. You can worship the second son as your teacher. Seeing this, Su He was also extremely happy in his heart. With the guidance of the golden crocodile Douluo, he could definitely avoid many detours in his cultivation. Moreover, only the golden crocodile Douluo in front of him has the most experience in cultivating qi and blood in the realm of golden martial souls. More importantly, as someone who has read the original work, he knows that Qian Crocodile is a 98-level super Douluo with a 100,000-year soul ring, and his strength is already at the peak of the three peerless masters. With such a powerful teacher, Su He can truly say that he can walk horizontally in the Douluo Continent without exaggeration. I have seen the teacher before, Su He respectfully saluted. Okay. I can't believe that Golden Crocodile still has the chance to pass on his legacy in this life. Golden Crocodile Douluo laughed loudly. He had no children and no offspring in his lifetime, and now he was extremely happy to have a talented disciple. This 30,000-year-old terrifying claw bear's left arm bone can be used as a tribute to your master. When your body is strong enough to absorb it, you can absorb it. The golden crocodile raised his hand and a piece of earthy yellow left arm bone appeared in his hand, handing it to Su He. This soul bone was obtained by the golden crocodile Douluo when he and others killed a powerful terror claw bear while wandering the continent in his early years. However, the left arm bone of the golden crocodile has already absorbed other soul bones, so it happened to take advantage of today's apprenticeship opportunity to let this soul bone play a role. The disciple thanks the teacher. These gifts are not only valuable, but also demonstrate the importance that Qian Crocodile attaches to this disciple. The soul bone that has been around for 30,000 years also comes from the incredibly powerful claw bear, but it is priceless outside. Big brother, 4th and 5th, then I'll take Xiaohe to train first. Qian Crocodile said, with innate full soul power, you can directly obtain the first soul ring. There are too few soul beasts in the soul hunting forest that meet expectations. I will take Xiaohe to the star forest. So please trouble my second brother. This child is naughty, please discipline him strictly, said the lion Douluo, bowing his hand. This is nature. After speaking, Qian Crocodile Douluo led Su He out of the main hall. Before leaving, Su He could still hear Qian Renxue's reluctant plea to stay. Stinky Xiaohe, don't forget about your sister Shuer while practicing. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The Path of Cultivation, Lingdan Shaping Body. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The Path of Cultivation, Lingdan Shaping Body, Xiaohe, release your martial soul. Golden Crocodile Douluo said slowly, I will set the direction for your future development based on the characteristics of your martial soul. Jedi Golden Lion, possessed. Su He completed his martial soul possession, and a huge and powerful golden lion appeared behind him. At the same time, Su He's body had lion-like features, with lion ears on his head, golden sideburns on his cheeks, and sharp claws on his hands. Use all your strength to attack me. Golden Crocodile Douluo said in a deep voice. Upon hearing this, Su He suddenly launched a punch at the Golden Crocodile Douluo, who raised his hand to block it. The power is quite strong, and without attaching a soul ring, it already weighs about 2,000 pounds, which is worthy of being my golden martial soul, Qian Crocodile Douluo slowly analyzed. It should be noted that soul masters are divided into extreme flow and balanced flow, and Xiaohe's martial soul is undoubtedly suitable for stacking stamina and taking the extreme attack route. Therefore, your first soul ring should choose a powerful amplification type soul skill. What the teacher said is true, Su He agreed. My idea for the first 4 soul skills is 3 amplification type soul skills and 1 control type soul skill. What do you think of this configuration, teacher? Not bad. In the future, when practicing to the level of soul Douluo or even the level of title Douluo, it is difficult to use low-level attack methods. Only percentage increase type soul skills can still be effective. Golden Crocodile Douluo praised, Xiaohe, you have a clear plan for yourself. You're flattering me, Su He said humbly, looking forward to his future cultivation. Returning to his residence, Su He began to study the so-called hybrid plastic pill in the beginner's gift package. Rubbing the round, brownish-yellow pill in his hand, Su He held on to the idea of having 100% trust in the system and producing high-quality products. Without much thought, Su He swallowed the pill in one gulp. For the first 15 minutes, he did not feel any discomfort, but as time passed, a piercing pain suddenly spread throughout Su He's body. Su He finally couldn't bear to shout softly. As black stains emerged from the surface of his skin, it took about half an hour for the effect to stop. Su He went to the restroom and looked at himself in the mirror, covered in black mud and smelly. He smiled helplessly and took a shower. After cleaning, Su He found that his skin appeared much whiter than before, and his muscle lines were more distinct and layered. Su He carefully felt his current strength, which was probably more than twice that of the original, reaching about 4,000 pounds, and the benefits brought by the mixed-element plastic body pill were far more than these. Although Su He's skin turned white, his body was even more resilient than before. Even with an ordinary dagger, he could only make a faint scratch. Seeing his physique become so strong, Su He was overjoyed. However, Su He never forgot to complete his training plan for today. He knew that his talent was indeed good. With his innate full soul power paired with the top-notch beast martial soul, the Jedi Golden Lion, and the incredibly powerful and solid support of the martial soul hall worshippers, he certainly had the capital of a proud generation. However, compared to the twin martial souls of Tang San, who had two gods hanging behind him, it was still much worse. He understood that only his own strength was trustworthy, and he had always faced Tang San like a formidable enemy, so he never dared to relax his cultivation. He is less than 6 years younger than Qian Renxue. As the young master of the sacrificial hall, he did not awaken his martial soul with the group of people from the golden generation. Instead, he approached his elders to awaken his martial soul in advance. Calculating the time, the battle between the Pope and the two elders to kill the Blue-Silver Emperor is not far away. And the result is naturally as mentioned in the original work. The Pope Qianshuan of the Martial Soul Hall was seriously injured by Tang Hao, one of the Haotian twin stars, and died of illness. However, as a traveler, he also knew who was responsible for this untimely death. However, now he is too weak to gain any say in the Martial Soul Hall and can only act according to the situation. Although Qianshuan Ji's beastly behavior towards his disciple was worthy of his death, he did not want Bibi Dong, the crazy woman, to become the Pope in charge of the Martial Soul Hall. A saint who enjoys the highest quality resources of the Martial Soul Hall but wants to elope with a useless member of the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex family and disobey her mentor, what a pure white-eyed wolf. That crazy woman's mind is full of her master and how to destroy the Martial Soul Hall. Thinking of this, Suhi's eyelids twitched wildly, and he began to feel sorry for his sister Xue, who was about to lose her beloved father. Although he had foresight, Suhi, who was an earthling in his previous life, instinctively refused to help a criminal, even though he was the father of his beloved snow sister. Due to not receiving maternal love from a young age, Qian Renxue's beloved grandfather and father are often busy with various affairs and work in the Martial Soul Hall. Her heart can be said to be closed, and Suhi can be considered her only intimate friend who can play with. In this lifetime, Suhi swore to protect his snow sister and never let the tragic ending in the original work reappear. She's dying then Bidong, so don't hold on to anyone else. Suha closed his eyes and began to contemplate the next plan. It is absolutely impossible to leave the medicinal herbs for the 7 monsters and their companions, which are suitable for both ice and fire. Suhi planned to wait until the time was right and take his grandfather, the lion Douluo, directly over and forcibly snatch it. How can Dugubo, who is only at level 91 now, be the opponent of the 97 level lion Douluo? It's really impossible to defeat him and kill him. Keeping it will also become an obstacle for Qian Renxue to infiltrate the Tiando Empire and steal the country in the future. Suhi also had his own ideas about the plan of the Tiando Empire, and many people felt that the significance of this plan was not significant because the original plan was not successful. And Suhi has decided that in the future, he will go to the Tiando Empire to help Qian Renxue complete his plan, and this plan to occupy the Tiando Empire is undoubtedly the least bloody method. I don't want to do so much, just take one step at a time. Soldiers will come and block, and water will come and cover the earth. This is the great cause of our Wulin Hall. Suhi thought firmly. As Suhi entered meditation practice, a trace of pure soul power entered his body, making his already very solid soul power even more pure. Although there is no increase in soul power level, after obtaining the soul ring, all sediment can be reflected. The advantage of innate full soul power lies not only in the several levels of innate soul power, but also in his innate talent in cultivation. Suhi's meditation efficiency can be said to be more than 3 times higher than those with only 4 or 5 levels of innate soul power, which is also the biggest reason for the gap between genius and ordinary soul masters. The higher the innate soul power, the stronger his ability to accept soul power. One night without a word, time flies by in the process of cultivation. By the time Suhi opened his eyes again, it was already dawn. After a brief wash, Suhi had already appeared at the entrance of the main hall where the rooster crowed. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Setting sail to the stars and searching for soul beasts. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 4. Setting sail to the stars and searching for soul beasts. Sensing that Suhi had arrived, an old man wearing a golden crocodile robe suddenly appeared next to Suhi, and it was none other than the golden crocodile Douluo. The aura of the golden crocodile Douluo is incredibly deep and introverted. If it weren't for a master of the same level, he wouldn't be able to sense the 98-level strong soul power in his body. He should be the first person among the 3 peerless Douluo. Let's go, take you to hunt for the first soul ring. Let's set off directly to the Star Forest, said Golden Crocodile Douluo. After that, he looked at Suhi in surprise, and with his sharp eyes, he could see that Suhi's body had undergone a tremendous change overnight, which could be said to be a world apart from before. Teacher, isn't there a soul hunting forest in our martial soul hall? Why not go there? Suhi asked puzzled. As a holy land in the Soul Master realm, the martial soul hall naturally has its own soul hunting forest, and the soul beasts inside are all century-old soul beasts strictly controlled by the strong. The lifespan of soul beasts in the soul hunting forest is generally 100 years, which is quite suitable for you, but the quality of soul beasts is indeed average. If you want high-quality soul rings, you can only go to the wild soul beast forest to find them, explained Golden Crocodile Douluo. The two of them walked to the transportation hub dedicated to the elder of the martial soul hall, and a carriage driver quickly bowed when he saw the Golden Crocodile Douluo. Crown Prince, please board the carriage. The horses pulling the cart are not ordinary horses, but 200-year-old flame-tailed horse soul beasts. However, even though it is a soul beast, it has become basically harmless under human domestication. This made he couldn't help but start thinking about the possibility of peaceful coexistence between humans and soul beasts. I don't know if we can study the soul method proposed by Do-Er in the original work, he thought to himself. At this moment, the sound of the system suddenly remembered in my heart. Stage Task 1 has been released, please host complete it in a timely manner. Stage Task 1. Please ask the host's soul power to reach level 10 and obtain the first soul ring, become a first ring soul master, and take the first step towards becoming a strong one. Note: the lifespan of the soul ring shall not be less than 500 years. Task Reward: Soul Power Level +1, Body Method. Explosive step, not a bad reward, he thought to himself. This type of body technique is equivalent to a self-created soul skill on the Douluo plane. With them, the way you fight can be more diverse, not just limited to the soul skills brought by the soul ring. The fierce-tailed horse is truly a century-old soul beast. It usually takes a day's journey to reach the entrance of the starry forest in just half a day. The coachman respectfully bowed and bid farewell to the two, and Suhi followed the Golden Crocodile Douluo into the largest gathering place of soul beasts in the whole continent. The Starry Forest is a place full of stories. Many exciting plotlines in the original work take place here. Suhi remembers the description of the Star Forest very clearly. Any soul master with sufficient strength and good luck can find the most suitable soul ring in the Star Forest. In the Starry Forest, there is a great opportunity shared by soul beasts and soul masters, which is a dangerous place that interprets the law of the jungle to the extreme. At this moment, Golden Crocodile Douluo walked slowly in the forest with Suhi, exuding an aura that drove away all the 10-year soul beasts in the surrounding area. This was the sense of oppression from the 98-level peak Douluo. Xiaohe Ni is born with full soul power and a relatively strong physique. The first soul ring prioritizes power-type soul beasts over 400 years old. Suddenly, the Golden Crocodile Douluo's momentum converged throughout his body. The area ahead is where soul beasts have lived for 100 years. Don't scare the snake with your breath, let's choose a suitable soul beast as your soul ring. The two of them walked for an hour in the area where soul beasts had been around for a century. At this time, the sky was approaching dusk, and the sun had set, leaving only a faint glow illuminating the earth. At this moment, a group of iron-horned cows appeared in their sight, taking turns drinking water near the pond. The iron horn bull can be considered one of the typical power-type soul beasts. "Let me check their crocodile years," said the golden crocodile Douluo. The leading bull's horn is bright silver, obviously with a cultivation of over 1,000 years. There are also 500-year-old iron horn bulls in the herd, and 2 with cultivation of around 400 years. Immediately, the golden crocodile Douluo turned to seek Su-he's opinion. After all, it was to add soul rings to Su-he. "Teacher, we can mark the position of this herd first. If there is no better choice, we can turn back." Su-he suggested, but he didn't want to compromise his soul ring selection. If he wanted to find it, he had to find the best one. "That's great," golden crocodile Douluo nodded and agreed, then took Su-he deeper. The two continued walking deep for half an hour, and as they were about to approach the habitat of the Millennium Soul Beast, the golden crocodile Douluo suddenly slowed down. "There are soul beasts fighting 3,000 meters ahead on the left," he prompted. Upon hearing this, Su-he's eyes froze and he immediately followed the teacher's footsteps, restraining his breath and moving forward. As the distance approached, the sound of soul beasts fighting also grew louder, with trees breaking their backs. As the two arrived, the battlefield finally caught the eye, with 2 silver moon saber-toothed tigers about 3 meters long fighting against a huge dark golden bear. There is a slight difference in the appearance of the silver moon sword-toothed tiger, which vaguely indicates that it is a married couple. Judging by the body length of tiger-like soul beasts, their cultivation level is approximately 400 years. The silver moon sword-toothed tiger is already a top-level soul beast, but who is that dark golden giant bear? Surprisingly able to fight 2 tigers alone. "Teacher, this fierce bear is indestructible with its dark gold fur. Could it be that legendary dark gold fearsome clawed bear that couldn't succeed?" Su-he's tone was very excited. If it was really the existence of the top of the soul beast world, the dark gold fearsome clawed bear, then today was really a stroke of luck. That's not the case. Look at this bear, although its golden armor is indestructible, its claws are relatively short. Golden crocodile Douluo said, "This should be the dark gold rampage bear, who is also a subordinate soul beast of the dark gold rampage bear. Its lifespan should be around 700 years, otherwise it cannot fight against 2 silver moon sword-toothed tigers alone. Moreover, although it is the subordinate soul beast of the dark gold rampage bear, the power of the bear-type soul beast is already quite strong. Coupled with its indestructible fur, look at these 2 silver moon sword-toothed tigers who are about to die under his claws. Wait a moment, you choose one of the sword-toothed tigers. The tiger absorbs soul rings, and the age is just right. Teacher, I want to absorb the soul ring of this dark golden bear." Su-he pondered for a moment and said in a deep voice. "It's hard to encounter such a rare and powerful soul beast. I believe my body is strong enough to withstand its soul ring. You must think carefully. There is no precedent in my martial soul hall that can absorb the first soul ring of 700 years. Qian Crocodile said in a deep voice, "If you can't bear this soul ring, how can I explain it to your grandfather? Teacher, I believe you can also see that my physique far exceeds that of normal peers. I once saw in an ancient book in the library that the standard for absorbing soul rings is whether a person's physical fitness can meet the standard." Su-he looked at the golden crocodile Douluo with a firm gaze. "I can definitely absorb the soul ring of this dark golden bear, teacher, please believe me." Anyway. Seeing his disciple so determined, golden crocodile Douluo still chose to believe him. Immediately, he swiftly subdued the soul beast, which was still majestic just a second ago, with 3 strikes and 5 divisions. Su-he condensed his mind, held a dagger, and walked forward. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. First Soul Ring, Golden Lion Battle Body. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. First Soul Ring, Golden Lion Battle Body. The dark golden bear, suppressed by the golden crocodile Douluo, saw Su-he walking slowly with a dagger and knew that his life was not long, so he let out a growl of unwillingness. Those brown eyes stared at Su-he with hatred. Suhi sighed helplessly when he saw its gaze. Big guy, rest assured and head on the road. It's only your bad luck that you met me. Roar. With the final roar, this one, who had been dominating the habitat of a century-old soul beast, encountered a dark golden bear that was not afraid of an ordinary millennium soul beast and completely lost its vitality. A bright yellow soul ring slowly emerged from it. Upon seeing this, Suhi expressed his gratitude to the nearby golden crocodile Douluo who was preparing to protect him. He then sat cross-legged and with a thought move, the bright yellow soul ring was pulled to the top of Suhi's head by him. Starting to absorb the soul ring, Suhi could feel a powerful and explosive soul power continuously pouring into his body from the top of his head, as if to burst his meridians. It was truly a 700-year-old dark gold bear soul ring. I'm already dead, give me some peace. Suhi said fiercely, and then exerted all his strength to use the Jedi golden lion's soul inside his body to suppress the energy inside the soul ring. If the lion doesn't show off, you can't treat me like a sick cat. Although the dark gold rampage bear is second only to the dark gold terror claw bear as a high-level presence in the soul beast pyramid, the Jedi golden lion martial soul is already the pinnacle of beast martial souls, surpassing the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex in terms of quality. This is naturally an evenly matched bear-lion fight. At this moment, in Suhi's sea of consciousness, a huge dark golden bear was fighting against a fierce golden lion. This giant bear is naturally the resentment that arises after the death of the dark golden bear, with particularly immense energy. It can be said that ordinary soul masters are at risk of exploding and dying upon contact. But what kind of person is Suhi? Not only did he start practicing his body at the age of 3, but after eating the Hunyuan shaping pill, his physical fitness far exceeded that of ordinary peers, approaching that of an ordinary soul master. His soul power continued endlessly, and the golden lion also began to suppress the giant bear. Roar. With a domineering lion roar, the Jedi golden lion bit off the giant bear's throat, and the bear's body turned into ash and dissipated into the sea of consciousness. The soul ring began to slowly fall, and the most difficult part of absorbing it beyond the level has passed. The next step is to follow the absorption process step by step, and the victory of adding soul rings is in sight. Roar. After about half an hour, the soul ring fell completely. The Jedi golden lion automatically possessed itself, and a domineering roar intimidated the surrounding beasts. A bright yellow soul ring slowly appeared on the body of the Jedi golden lion. Ding, the task is completed, and the host gains a reward of soul power level +1, body method. Explosive step. The sound of the system came on time. 13 levels. Suha felt his soul power level and exclaimed excitedly in his heart. The soul power brought by the soul ring, combined with my own heritage, has actually brought a full 2 levels of soul power improvement. With the addition of system rewards, I have instantly obtained a 3rd level of soul power. 13 levels. Golden Crocodile Douluo pondered. Xiaohe, don't be greedy for levels in cultivation. You must be down to earth to reach the peak. Obviously, he was afraid that Suhi would lose himself in the huge increase of soul power level. Teacher, students must remember, Suhi replied. His idea, like that of the Golden Crocodile Douluo, is to be down to earth throughout the journey of cultivation, and not to rush for quick success. If one blindly pursues level and has a superficial foundation, they will only become the bottom players in the same level, and may even be defeated by their superiors. Upon hearing this, Golden Crocodile Douluo felt the soul power movement inside Suhi's body again and found that the 13-level soul power was incredibly solid. Only then did he feel relieved. Show me your first soul skill, Xiaohe, attack me. Teacher, my first soul skill is called the Golden Lion Battle Body, which increases my attack power by 100% and defense power by 80% for 10 minutes. It is an enhanced soul skill, and for every 10 levels of soul power increase, the duration will increase by an additional minute. After finishing, the yellow soul ring has been lit up. The first soul skill, the Golden Lion Battle Body. The enhancement ended, and Suhi stepped on the newly obtained body method explosive step and punched the Golden Crocodile Douluo at an extremely fast speed. Not bad, integrated attack and defense. Qian Crocodile Douluo praised, it is truly the first soul ring of 700 years in the history of the martial soul hall. This effect can be said to be comparable to some thousand-year soul skills. Then the two of them peeled off the bear skin and collected the bear meat into the storage soul guide. When Zhenzhen planned to leave, he found a shiny bone flickering on the ground. Soul bones. Suhi exclaimed in surprise, look at this shape as a left metacarpal bone, not one of the 6 major components. Take it, this soul bone is under your control. Golden Crocodile Douluo, seeing no strange things, according to his experience, has 1 soul bone for every 100,000 years, and it is not surprising to have an ordinary century-old soul bone. Then the two quickly left the forest, got on the carriage, and returned to the martial soul city. At this time, enshrined in the hall. Seeing the Golden Crocodile Douluo returning with Suhi's hunting soul ring, Qian Renxue was pleasantly surprised to ask the two for information on soul skills, and Suhi naturally told her directly. Shui Jia is one of Suhi's closest people in this life, so she naturally has no reservations about her. After meeting with his grandfather for a brief report, Suhi returned to his cultivation state. He spent his days refining soul power in his residence, and in his spare time, he would seek advice from the Golden Crocodile Douluo on martial soul knowledge or engage in sparring with Qian Renxue. In this way, 3 months passed quickly, and Suhi's soul power increased to level 15. At this moment, something shook the mainland. Pope Qiang Sunji of the Martial Soul Hall was severely injured and dying by Tang Hao, one of the Haotian twin stars, while hunting the soul beast Blue Silver Emperor. He has now returned to the Martial Soul Hall to recuperate. Subsequently, the Martial Soul Hall immediately declared war on Emperor Haotian, who announced the expulsion of Tang Hao and his retirement from the mountains and forests. Are you coming? Suhi naturally knew the plot direction of the original work, but he couldn't change anything now. Lion Douluo and Golden Crocodile Douluo will certainly protect Suhi's safe growth, but Suhi cannot expect them to obey him. It's really a headache, just let it go. At the end of the day, he is nothing in the Martial Soul Hall now. He is just a young master in the Hall of Worship, without even the right to command the escort team. If the servants are willing to obey him, it is for the sake of the face of the two Hall of Worship. Ultimately, strength is the hard truth, Suhi sighed. Now his thighs behind him are indeed strong enough, but it is still his strength and ability that give him the power to speak in the Martial Soul Hall. I also need to arrange the matter of Xianqiao earlier, otherwise it's difficult to explain what's going on with my Xianqiao gift box. Let's talk about it when we obtain the second soul ring. It's a pity for our senior Dugu. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. The Pope's Healing and the Lion's Appearance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. The Pope's Healing and the Lion's Appearance. No, I have to do something, otherwise it will be too late for that crazy woman from Bidong to become the Pope. Suhi's face was heavy, and he experienced some ideological struggle in his heart, then summoned the system. Open the designated fairy grass gift box and select the heavenly and earthly treasure, the 9th grade purple mushroom. Suhi made up his mind to save Qinshuan's life. He vaguely remembered that the first test of Bibidong's Raksha divine examination was to devour the soul of a person whose martial soul was a 6-winged angel. Such an evil divine examination, Suhi absolutely couldn't let Bibidong, this madman, succeed. Immediately, Suhi saw a Lingji plant appear in his hand. Lingji has a purple color throughout its body, with jadeite-like stems below, growing 9 leaves. The description of it in the original work is that it has the effect of strengthening the foundation, nourishing qi, and increasing power. It can be considered a natural and earthly treasure with extremely mild medicinal effects. Although it has not reached the realm of immortality, it is also a very precious treasure. Whether you can survive or not depends on your fate, under the crown of the Pope. Although what you have done is indeed immoral, you cannot die yet. Su Henning said in a voice, and immediately ran to Qian Renxue's residence, only to find the familiar figure. He realized that Qian Renxue should be by her father's side, so he quickly rushed to the papal palace without stopping. At the entrance of the Basilica of the Pope. Originally, it was Prince Su. I don't know why he came to the papal palace. The armored guards outside the palace saw Su He coming to stop his footsteps. This is a token for worship. Let me go in and find Miss Qian Renxue. Su He took out a token with the emblem of a lion, and the guards bowed and allowed him into the main hall. Su He, who hurriedly walked in, collided with the two Douluo warriors, Ju Gui, who were guarding the hall. Elder Moon Pass, Elder Ghost. Su He bowed. It turns out to be the young master of the Four Sacrifice family. I wonder why young Master Su came here. Ju Douluo Yuguan asked slowly, raising her orchid finger. I heard that the Pope was seriously injured under his crown, and the younger generation accidentally received something that they were willing to offer to the Pope to help him recover from his injury. Su He replied without hesitation, then took out the treasure from the wooden box and placed it in front of the two elders. I truly deserve to be young Master Su. Even rare items like the 9th grade purple mushroom have been collected. Chrysanthemum Douluo smiled, anyway, I'll go with you. Thank you very much, Elder Ju. Su He arched his hand. In a moment, the two of them had already walked to the palace where Pope Chihiro was recovering from his injuries. They saw Pope Chihiro, who used to have a majestic soul power of 95 levels, now lying weakly in bed. Beside him were Chihiro Snow, who looked worried, and Bibi Dong, who was taking care of Chihiro. Su He walked forward and greeted everyone, then arched his hand and said to Qian Xuanji, Uncle Qian, I accidentally got an item called Jiopin Ziji, which has mild medicinal power, has the effect of strengthening the foundation, nourishing the energy, and increasing the power. Today, I offer it to Uncle Qian. May Uncle recover from his injuries as soon as possible and further improve his soul power. The Chrysanthemum Douluo Moon Pass beside him also took a step forward and said, Your Highness, the 9th grade purple mushroom is an extremely rare natural treasure. I am willing to mix the herbs for your Highness to take. He, Xiaohe, Yueguan, you two really have a heart. Qian Xuanji smiled weakly, but now that I am seriously injured and dying, I have long wanted to pass on the position of the Pope to Donger. The only girl I can't let go of is Shura. After speaking, Qian Xuanji affectionately touched Qian Renxue's head. It's better to keep the 9th grade purple mushroom for 4th uncle to take, or to pass the 98 level mark. Although Uncle Qian made a big mistake, his love for Shura is truly genuine, Su He thought to himself. The younger generation's visit this time is exactly what Grandpa meant, Su He lied without changing his expression. In fact, the Lion Douluo had no idea about Su He's visit to the Pope's palace this time. Grandpa said that the Martial Soul Hall cannot be without the guidance of the Pope, otherwise it will become a scattered sand like a group of dragons without a leader. Since its uncle sees intention, then I'll accept it. Qian Xuanji gestured to Yuguan to take the fairy grass and prepare it for him. The elder cannot refuse it, and Uncle C's kindness to Sun must be remembered. Upon hearing this, Su He and Qian Renxue both smiled happily, while the latter hugged the former tightly. Thank you, Xiaohe. Thank you for helping my dad. What are you talking about, Sister Shura? Everyone is a part of the Martial Soul Hall, and it's also appropriate to help each other, Su He said with a smile. Congratulations to the teacher, disciple. Bibi Dong's face was uncertain, and he could only force a smile of congratulations. This 9th grade purple mushroom has ruined her plan, and it's already difficult to find such an opportunity again. In a moment, proficient in pharmacology, Chrysanthemum Douluo had already prepared the herb into a medicinal soup, combined with several excipients to make the medicinal power milder and easier to absorb. Su He and others watched as the Pope took it down, and then Qian fell into a meditative state of digestive medicine. During this process, in order to prevent Bibi Dong from having any chance to frame Qian Ji, Su He accompanied Qian Renxue and 2 elders to guard the Pope's side. One day later, a powerful soul power broke through the sky. Level 96. Surprisingly succeeded in breaking through. The sacred phantom masterpiece of the 6-winged angel behind Qian disease, a large amount of sacred aura gathered in the sky of Martial Soul City, attracting countless people's worship. This is the symbol of the Martial Soul Hall, the sacred and beautiful 6-winged angel. Mom, look at it. It's really beautiful. Qian Renxue said to Bibi Dong, Dad's martial soul is like me. But when she saw Bibi Dong's face flickering and trembling, Bibi Dong slapped Qian Renxue in the face. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. I'm not your mother, get out of here. She was almost crazy, and Qian Renxue couldn't believe it. She touched the palm print on her face and tears of grievance welled up in her eyes. Seeing this, Su He also slowly lost his sanity. Bibi Dong, she doesn't deserve to be a mother at all. Roar. He walked forward and hugged Qian Renxue, who had lost his soul. The Jedi Golden Lion possessed him and roared towards Bibi Dong, but the roar was louder than he had imagined. Upon hearing this, Su He was taken aback and immediately looked back. Grandpa. Why did you come? The newcomer was the lion Douluo, and the roar just now was the angry roar of the flame lion possessed. Seeing his beloved little princess of the temple being treated like this, he finally couldn't bear to watch anymore. Although they all know some of what Qian Ji has done, Bibi Dong's behavior is not worthy of being called a mother. 4th Uncle. Chihiro quickly saluted and saw the impending outbreak of the lion Douluo. He knew how hot his uncle's temper was, just like his martial soul, the flame lion, would explode at any moment. Donger, your behavior is too extreme. Xiaoxue is your daughter. He, my daughter, I don't have such a daughter. The dirty angel clan, I want you all to die. At this moment, Bibi Dong had completely lost his sanity and his soul power surged towards Chihiro. At this point, Bibi Dong was completely influenced by negative emotions, and the power of the Rakshasa had already greatly affected her spirit. Now that she was so stimulated, Bibi Dong was already insane. Bold. Qian Ji had already recovered from his injuries and reached level 96 of soul power. How could Bibi Dong be so offended? The divine light of the 6-winged angel's martial soul suppressed the evil soul power of the Death Spider Emperor and sealed it off. Bibi Dong, as a saint but without proper etiquette, should be strictly disciplined. Seal her soul power and send her to the dungeon for 3 days. Qian Ji sternly reprimanded and ordered punishment, then looked at the nearby lion Douluo. Humph. The lion Douluo snorted coldly. Pope, I hope this situation doesn't happen again today. He then said he no longer cared and turned around to leave the papal palace. Yes, 4th Uncle, Qian Ji arched his hand. Xiaohe, why did Mom treat me like this? Qian Renxue suddenly asked you at night while taking Su He for a walk in the courtyard. Perhaps your highness the holy maiden also has some of her own troubles. Su He couldn't tell the truth and could only console her. Don't worry, Sister Xue. You also have Grandpa, Uncle Qian, the worshippers, and me. We will all be by your side and take care of you. Stinky kid, he can be smooth-tongued. Qian Renxue smiled. In this way, Su He passed through the tribulation of Qian's illness without leaving a trace, and even advanced to the peak Douluo due to his misfortune. And Su He also received a 1-year honeymoon period of cultivation, during which the Soul Master realm was peaceful and no major events occurred. Su He's soul power has also been cultivated to level 17, with a 4-level increase in soul power in a year. After being punished, Bibi Dong also showed a lot of composure and tried to play the role of a good disciple, regaining the favor of Chihiro Ji. Everything seems to be back on track, but is this really the case? The situation on the mainland is like the sea surface of the ocean, the calmer the surface, the more turbulent the deep layers. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Academy Storm, Battle with Haotian. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 7 Academy Storm, Battle with Haotian. The peace of this year also gave Su He some peace of mind, and the martial soul hall was thriving under the leadership of Pope Qian Renxue. Considering his future participation in the mainland elite soul master competition, Su He went to find his teacher Jean Crocodile Douluo to apply for a transfer student quota for the Junior Soul Master Academy at the Martial Soul Hall. During his leisure time of cultivation, Su He would also go to the Soul Master Academy to experience school life. In the academy, Su He also met the Golden Generation members of the Martial Soul Hall in the original work, Xiaoyu, Yan, and Hulaina, the disciple of Bibi Dong. It should be mentioned that although Bibi Dong still holds the status of a saint in this life, she still accepts Hulina as her disciple, possibly driven by the power of fate in the dark. Due to Su He's frequent visits to the library to read books before awakening his martial soul, Su He is now well versed in the martial soul knowledge taught by the Junior Soul Master Academy of the Martial Soul Hall. Usually, he only appears in practical combat classes, seeking opponents to compete and hone his combat skills. So one afternoon. Suha, come and duel. A boy with fiery red hair challenged the dormitory, and the latter shook his head helplessly upon hearing the sound. It is obvious that the two are already acquaintances, and the boy with fiery red hair is Yen from the original Golden Generation. Yen, you have already lost to me 3 times, why can't you keep a long memory? Su He spoke without refusing Yan's challenge. Yan is one of the few students in this academy who can compete with him. His soul power has reached level 15, and his martial soul is a top-level martial soul flame lord with both fire and earth attributes. It is a very powerful ancient martial soul. Go to the martial arts arena. Su He waved his hand. Hey, that transfer student and the leader of the strong attack department Yen are going to have a duel again. What? Let's go take a look. Mr. Yen has already lost several times, can he win this time? The students were discussing in a lively manner. At this moment, inside the martial arts arena. Yen, Martial Soul Flame Lord, Level 15 Strong Attack Series Soul Master, please advise. Su He, Martial Soul Jedi Golden Lion, Level 17 Strong Attack Soul Master, please advise. After the two of them saluted, Yen frowned in surprise when he heard that Su He had reached level 17. I didn't expect you to be promoted again after 3 months of not fighting. But I won't give up. After Yen finished speaking, his martial soul possessed him, and the bright yellow first soul ring on his body instantly lit up. The first soul skill, Hell Magma Rush. At this moment, a towering magma column suddenly burst out from the ground under Su He's feet. 3,000 thunderbolts. Su He activated his body technique, and his figure flashed out of Yan's attack range like a thunderous ghost. Immediately, the first soul ring lit up, first soul skill, Golden Lion Battle Body. Feeling the strengthened and explosive power on his body, Su He stepped on the explosive step, his body shaped like an arrow from the bow, and punched Yen with a punch. The poor red-haired boy felt a tremendous force before he could see his opponent's figure clearly, and then flew out of the field. So strong. Surprisingly, he defeated Yen with just one move. The students in the audience were all shocked by Su He's performance, and Xiaoyu and Hulaina, who were watching from the sidelines, were also stunned. Yan's strength is almost the same as theirs. If Su He can defeat Yen with one move, he naturally has the ability to defeat them with one move. This guy is stronger than last time. Xiaoyu said in a deep voice, but I won't lose to him. Then she turned around and went to the mimicry cultivation field to continue practicing. At this moment, in the martial arts arena, Su He walked slowly to the fallen Yen and helped him up. When I become stronger, I will defeat you, Yan said seriously as he stared at Su He, his eyes filled with fierce fighting intent. In this academy, soul masters of the same level are unlikely to encounter opponents, and even now, Evil Moon can only compete evenly with Yan. Only Su He could defeat him with overwhelming strength, which made Yan's fighting spirit unprecedentedly strong. Always waiting. Su He smiled calmly and patted Yan's shoulder before returning to his residence to continue meditation. Yan is not bad in nature and has a simple demeanor. Taking control for personal use is also a good help, so Su He plans to cultivate it from a young age. In the future, if you want to establish a firm foothold in the martial soul hall and have sufficient discourse power, besides having extremely powerful power, the team behind you is also particularly important. After all, the girl he likes is the young master of the martial soul hall, and Su He has no intention of being inferior in this relationship. In short, his strength and influence must be strong enough. Not far away, Xiaoyu and Hulaina stared deeply at Su He's departing figure, lost in thought. "Cut, so arrogant, let me show you." Hulina murmured roast. Unfortunately, he really has the capital of arrogance. Xiaoyu shook her head, "Don't worry about so much anymore. We need to work hard to keep up with him." At this moment, the sound of the system suddenly rang out in Su He's heart. Stage Task 2 is released, defeating the collaboration of the Golden Generation of the Martial Soul Palace and making those who are not convinced realize who the leader of this generation of Martial Soul Palace is. Task Completion Reward. Soul Power Level +1, Designated Fairy Grass Gift Box *1. It has to be said that this reward is really tempting, but the difficulty of completion is not simple. Don't watch Su He defeat Yan so easily, it's because 2 levels of soul power suppression combined with high-quality first soul rings. Facing 3 talented peers at the same time, with agile attack, strong attack, and control of all 3 types of opponents, Su He's current strength is somewhat uncertain. But it's not easy for the other 3 to defeat themselves. Due to eating the Hunyuan plastic body pill, Su He has already surpassed them in terms of physical strength. At this moment, the huge object of the Martial Soul Hall had another big move. Contemporary Pope Qian Renxue leads 2 elders with the title Douluo to declare war on Emperor Haotian. The reason is that it is suspected that Haotian's sect is secretly hiding the wanted criminal Tang Hao. Although the leader of Haotian's sect, Tang Xiao, strongly declared that Tang Hao has been expelled from the sect, Qianshu and Ji seem to have completely ignored it. 3 days after declaring war, the war was on the verge of breaking out. Originally, Tang Hao, who had just turned 1 year old and was currently living in seclusion in the Holy Soul Village, could no longer restrain his nature as a sect slave. He entrusted Tang San to the elder of the Holy Soul Village, Jack, and resolutely broke into the battlefield of the 2 major forces alone. Originally, Haotian's sect, which had 4 titled Douluo, faced a situation where 1 super Douluo and 2 ordinary Douluo were evenly matched and somewhat weak. However, the emergence of Tang Hao led to a one-sided trend in the situation. It has to be said that the strength of Haotian Douluo is truly formidable. With the unique skills of Dashumi's hammer and the explosive ring, the 2 titled Douluo elders sent by the Martial Soul Hall died and were injured, and Pope Qianshuan's illness also returned with serious injuries. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Plan begins, reluctant to leave. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Plan begins, reluctant to leave. Upon hearing this news, Su He was about to spit out a mouthful of old blood. Uncle Qian, why do you like to die so much? Don't you know Tang Hao is just a wall-hanging person? You think you can jump around with level 96 soul power. Now I can't save you either. Suha's heart was filled with silence. He had done his best to make Qianshu and Ji escape from his original fate and help his strength further. However, the latter still had such an accident. However, upon closer examination, this matter also cannot withstand scrutiny. Tang Hao had already suffered a very serious injury in World War I a year ago. How could his strength come from this appearance to turn the 96-level Qianshuan disease into a serious injury? Suha strongly suspected that there was a conspiracy in the divine realm after this. Saving Qianshuan's illness once again won't work on this path. He gave the Genius Earth treasure in the system gift package to the beginners to Qianshuan Ji to eat. He had already fulfilled his duty of benevolence and righteousness. Even if he completed the task and obtained a second plant of immortal grass, it would not change the rule of heaven and earth that only one plant of this type of item can be eaten. That is to say, Chihiro's illness is incurable. A strange feeling suddenly surged in Suhi's heart. Is this the arrangement of fate? But the lion never bows its head, the fighting rabbit uses all its strength, and is not afraid of facing the giant elephant at all. If this is fate's arrangement, he still insists on fighting against this damned fate. Fortunately, the news came that Tang Hao, in order to apologize to the sect, decided to return the soul bones of the sect and cut off his own arm. If it weren't for the sect leader Tang Zhao's desperate obstruction, he would have cut off his own leg to show his loyalty to the sect. However, despite this, Tang Hao's soul power has also decreased by 10 levels and he has lost the ability to use the 9th soul ring. This is good news for Su He, who finally doesn't have to worry about being beaten to death by Tang Hao when participating in the Soul Master competition. After all, Tang Hao at level 95 and Tang Hao at level 85 are two different dimensions. Even if Tang Hao, who is at level 85, makes a violent move, the title Douluo present will definitely be able to stop his attack, which greatly increases Su He's life safety before he grows up. The butterfly effect has begun, Tang-san, Su He said in a deep voice. Let's play slowly. At this moment, in the divine realm, within the Shura temple, I stayed in Douluo Continent to protect that child's dark son, and his luck has been greatly drained. What exactly happened? The Shura God was somewhat anxious, but now he is completely watched by the God of Destruction. Apart from the affairs of the capital of slaughter, he has no way to intervene in anything on Douluo Continent. Obviously, if Su He saw this scene, the inside story of the Great War a year ago would also be revealed. Tang Hao, who had just obtained the 9th soul ring, received the help of the Shura divine power and was incredibly brave with just one strike, completing a feat that no one could achieve. So much so that even Qianshuan Ji, who had reached level 95 soul power at the time, had no fighting power and was severely injured by the hammer. 3 days later, Qianshuan fell seriously injured and died in the palace. Su He comforted her with Qian Renxue, who was crying incessantly in the spiritual hall. The father who doted on Qian Renxue ultimately left her. Perhaps it was really fate's arrangement. Even though the butterfly had tried hard to flap its wings, it still could not change some established facts. Qian Daolu knew that the Qian family was guilty compared to Bibi Dong, and he did not further investigate the true inside story of Qian Xuanji's death. Instead, he chose to support Bibi Dong as the Pope of the Martial Soul Hall. Su He was most worried about what had happened. It's just that I don't know how much of Bibi Dong's brain is damaged, and can it be a bit normal? Su He thought helplessly in his heart. The soldiers come and the generals will stop it. Let's cover it with water and earth. We will take a step by step later. 3 days later, the side hall of the temple was enshrined in Su He's residence. I'm leaving, the blonde girl said in silence. I may not come back in the short term. Suha looked at her without saying a word, and the two of them remained silent. Aren't you planning to say something? In the end, Qian Renxue couldn't resist and broke the silence first. Will you listen to me if I tell you not to go? Su He looked up at Qian Renxue and asked. I've heard about the plan. You don't need to personally go to steal the Heavenly Do Empire. Our martial soul hall is full of talented people, and you're not the only one with disguise skills. So what? But it was a joint decision between Grandpa and that woman, Qian Renxue sighed. What can I do if I don't want to go? Are you trying to prove your abilities to that woman, Sister Schwer? Su He interrupted her. Schwer, I know you have always been a very independent person, but if you still treat me as your younger brother, remember my words. Always put your strength first. Suha's golden eyes were fixed on Qian Renxue's beautiful purple big eyes, and the latter's gaze was somewhat evasive. Only with strength can we have enough say in the martial soul hall. After speaking, Suhi hugged Qian Renxue's waist and carefully felt the fragrance on the girl's body. And I will always stand by Shue's side, supporting you. Give me a few years to enhance my strength, and I will come to the Tiando Empire to help you. He paused for a moment, help you clear all obstacles. Qian Renxue stared at the boy in front of him, who was holding him like a little adult, suddenly feeling a bit dazed. Immediately, with a hint of resentment, Suhi said, "Stinky kid, you're talking so recklessly. Just before you leave, let your sister come and test your strength." Suhi keenly sensed the danger and immediately ran away. Turning around, he saw 4 soul rings, yellow, purple, and purple, appearing from Qian Renxue's body. The beautiful 6-winged angel martial soul was possessed, and he punched Suhi with one punch. Jedi Golden Lion. Suhi knew he couldn't escape, his martial soul possessed him, and he roared at Qian Renxue with a lion roar. After significantly enhancing his defense, Suhi was ready to be beaten. "Little lion, dare to shout at you, Snow Sister. Look, I won't beat you." Omitting thousands of words below, large-scale domestic violence scene, tired of playing, Qian Renxue sat on the lawn in the backyard holding Suhi, and the two of them looked at each other without saying a word. "When will you leave?" Suhi asked first. "Tomorrow afternoon, Xue Qinghe will go out of the palace to hunt. I will take this opportunity to get close to him and understand his lifestyle habits," said Qian Renxue. "Tonight, I will leave overnight and take Uncle Shi and Uncle Thorny Blood with me. Protect yourself, you can write me anything." Suhi hugged her and enjoyed the last warmth before parting ways. Later, Suhi noticed that Qian Renxue began to cry. "Woo-woo, Dad, why did you leave me?" Suhi sighed and decided to wait until the time was right to tell her the truth, but not now. "Swear, you will never be alone. The people in the temple will always be your relatives, and we will always stand behind you." The afterglow of the sunset slowly faded away, and the time was approaching dusk. Suhi stood in front of the carriage, looking at the two elders and Qian Renxue inside. "Let's go." Without too much words, just the reluctance in his eyes is about to come out. The companionship of over 7 years will be separated today. How can Suhi bear it? The sun gradually set as the sound of horse hooves drifted away. Suhi forced his gaze away from the direction of the carriage's departure, and without looking back, he returned to his residence to meditate. "Tiando, I will go. Qianshuan Ji must write to death, and even for many reasons, he cannot tolerate committing the crime of QJ. Although the author himself does not like Bibi Dong, a white-eyed wolf, Qianshuan Ji's death will no longer owe Bibi Dong anything. It also helps to promote the development of the plot. Thank you for your valuable suggestions." Thanks. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Half a year of hard cultivation, Lion King rises his might. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Half a year of hard cultivation, Lion King rises his might. Since Qian Renxue left the martial soul city to go on a mission to the heavenly Dou Empire, Suhi felt like his life was lacking a corner. After all, he used to meet Qian Renxue every day, playing, practicing, and fighting with them, talking about everything. Now the latter suddenly went to the distant Tiando Empire to carry out a secret mission, and Suhi couldn't adapt for a while. If you miss her, then try to catch up with her footsteps. Xiongshi Douluo walked up from behind and patted Suhi's shoulder, as if he could see what he was thinking in his heart, and spoke out. "None of us old guys can see what you think about Xiao Shui. The girl is also interested in you, but even the eldest brother has never objected. This is the highest recognition of your talent, Xiaohe." He paused and continued, "You know, Xiao Shui will definitely become a deity." "I know, Grandpa." Suhi looked firmly into the distance. I will use my abilities to prove it to you. The person in charge of the future Martial Soul Hall will definitely not be that woman, but me and Sister Schwer. It's good that you have this confidence, hee, said the lion Douluo with a smile. My second brother has been trying to break through the level 99 in seclusion recently, and he won't be able to leave the level again in the short term. However, he has also taught you the golden training method he has spent his whole life learning and improving. If you reach level 20, come find your grandfather to add you a soul ring. With your physical fitness, perhaps we can really see the miracle of the second ring of the millennium appear. Xiongshi Douluo left this sentence and left the side hall. 6 months' time. He set a goal for himself, complete stage task 2 and get another fairy grass. Suha has already planned the immortal herbs to take for himself. In addition to Tang San in the original work taking 2 highly toxic immortal herbs, flame apricot jiaoshu and octagonal dark ice grass, which can prevent people from ice, fire, and all kinds of poisons from invading. Suha also plans to take Qi Rong Tong Tian Ju, which can greatly improve his physical fitness and cultivate an immortal product that is not harmful to the diamond body. This is a huge help for soul masters like Su He who rely on physical fitness to attack. The time for Su He to take Xianqiao has also been set, which is after obtaining the second soul ring. He wouldn't foolishly wait until Tang San and others in the original work reached the level of Soul Lord before taking the immortal grass. You should know that the earlier you take this type of immortal product, the better its improvement effect on the body. As for why not absorb it immediately, the cultivation speed at the Soul Master level is much faster than that at the Great Soul Master level, and the Qi Rong Tong Tian Ju is an immortal product that can bring about an increase in soul power. In the original work, Dai Mubai took Qi Rong Tong Tian Ju and increased his soul power by 3 or 4 levels in the Soul Master stage. He does not want to waste the medicinal power of the immortal herb on the level increase of the Soul Master level. Taking fairy grass at the level of a great Soul Master is the most cost-effective way to improve both the body and soul power. Having made up his mind, He began to work hard to cultivate. The golden body training technique taught by the golden crocodile Douluo can be mastered to comprehend an innate soul skill of the golden martial soul, called the unbreakable golden body. This does not break through the golden body, which can greatly enhance the user's comprehensive defense ability, and is only applicable to gold-type martial soul masters. Even in the spiritual aspect that ordinary strong attack soul masters are not good at, it can greatly enhance immunity. This also gave He some confidence when facing the spiritual soul master Hulayina in the Golden Generation trio. Suha's spiritual strength is not bad, which is the result of his daily meditation before awakening his martial soul. 6 months passed quietly, and He opened the door to test his cultivation achievements. Half a year, has it been upgraded by 2 levels. At the age of 8, He's soul power has reached level 19, and this level 19 soul power is not the result of his pursuit of speed, but extremely condensed. Even without breaking through the golden body, He has barely reached the level of mastery above the beginner level. With He's understanding of his own strength, launching the unbreakable golden body can now increase his physical defense by 40% and spiritual defense by 30%. Combined with the first soul skill, it is difficult to inflict significant trauma on him with the attack intensity of the sensitive attack Soul Master Xiaoyu. However, due to his slow speed, Yan, who has strong attack power, cannot even attack He, who has 3,000 lightning moves and explosive step body techniques. The remaining control-type Soul Master Hulayina will also face He with a greatly reduced threat due to not breaking the 30% spiritual defense of the golden body. It's time. He put on a silver robe embroidered with a golden lion, which was custom-made for him by the Martial Soul Hall, symbolizing his noble identity as the grandson of the majestic lion Douluo. He strode towards the academy. At this point, the college had already exploded. Have you heard about it? He, the leader of the powerful attack system who has never seen a dragon, is going to challenge Yan, Xiaoyu, and Hulayina at the same time today. What, he's too arrogant, isn't he? Xiaoyu and Hulina are both leaders of the Quick Attack and Control departments. They have already defeated 5th grade students in 3rd grade. It is said that their soul power has reached level 16. Let's go to the martial arts arena and take a look. At this time, the 3 members of the Golden Generation were also greatly shocked and they received Suhi's invitation letter. How dare he? Hulina was a bit angry. He's really arrogant, brother. Let's go teach him a lesson. He should have his own capital, Xiaoyu pondered. Although Suhi is proud, he is not the kind of person who is arrogant at night. Anyway, let's go meet him. Yan appeared surprisingly calm. Among the 3, he had the most battles with Suhi and had the closest relationship. When it comes to the stage, each person should perform their own duties. At this moment, in the martial arts arena the audience on the sidelines had already filled their seats, and Suhi looked around and saw many red bishops coming specifically to watch the battle. Many of their children are studying at the Martial Soul Hall Academy, and it is normal for them to be interested in this matter. However, at this moment, Suhi caught sight of a shocking figure. Pope Bibidong of the Martial Soul Hall, the highest authority of the Martial Soul Hall on the surface, has actually come. Bibidong held a golden scepter in her hand, dressed in splendid attire, and time seemed to have left no trace on her. Her eyes swept over the students present and immediately fell on Suhi. Suha immediately felt a huge pressure rushing towards him. Is this testing me? Suhi didn't want to be outdone and squinted his eyes. I won't show mercy to your disciple. For the golden generation of Hulina, Suhi doesn't have much affection, but he won't target her because of what happened in the original work. He will guide her well in the future. However, today Suhi did plan to take action to show the Pope that the so-called Golden Generation is nothing more than that. The genius leader of the Martial Soul Hall, except for Snow's sister, that is Suhi. Never give up. At this moment, the 3 of them and Suhi were already in place, and Hulina frowned and said, "You will pay the price for your arrogance." Suha remained non-committal and didn't bother to talk to her at all. Both sides salute. The referee shouted loudly, "Evil Moon, Martial Soul Moon Blade, Level 16 Sensitive Attack Series Soul Master. Yen, Martial Soul Flame Lord, Level 17 Strong Attack Soul Master. Hulina, Martial Soul Demon Fox, Level 16 Control Soul Master. 3 martial souls possessed, ready to unleash. Suhi, Martial Soul Jedi Golden Lion, Level 19 Strong Attack Series Soul Master. After completing the possession of the Jedi Golden Lion behind him, he let out a roar that intimidated the entire audience. At this moment, all 3 people on the field felt a bit dazed, while the surrounding audience had no impact. The battle is starting. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Using 1 enemy to 3, shocking the 4 directions. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Using 1 enemy to 3, shocking the 4 directions. This roar was not just an ordinary standing-up cheering, but a deterrent soul skill inherent in Suhi's martial soul, which Suhi named Weijin Shanha. The effect is to stun opponents whose mental strength is lower than oneself, and the duration of stun depends on their strength. The lion is the king among all beasts, and is always at the top of the food chain. In the world of Douluo, except for the unreasonable existence of pure-blood dragon races, the Jedi Golden Lion is the pinnacle of beast martial souls. Even the mixed-blood dragon species like the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex cannot match its martial souls. The war was about to break out, and the intimidating effect of the mountains and rivers had already been reflected in Xiaoyu and Yan. The 2 of them had not taken any action yet, but it had not had a significant effect on spiritual soul masters like Hulina. You still need to pick and pinch the persimmon, Suhi sneered. Since you 2 can't move, don't blame me for being ruthless. The first soul skill, the Golden Lion Battle Body. Suhi lit up the first soul ring, Explosive Step Punch. The body technique was activated in an instant, and his body rushed towards Yen like an arrow from the bow. At this point, Yen had slightly regained his senses, but it was difficult for him to react quickly to defend against Su He's attack. At this time, Helena, as the only person in the Golden Generation who was not mentally intimidated, stood up. First soul skill, Fox Fire Order. With a coquettish shout, Su He felt a hint of danger coming from his left side and quickly lifted his left hand to block it. But the blocking time also gave Yen the action of arm defense, allowing him to escape the fate of being eliminated. Taking a few dozen steps back to the edge of the field, Yen took a deep breath of air conditioning, feeling a bit scared. "You guy, your strength is really abnormal." Yen touched the corner of his mouth and then attacked Su He with the recovered evil moon in a pincer style. The scene was once deadlocked, and Su He remained unbeatable with one enemy and 3 opponents, but he couldn't find any chance to win. He fought at high intensity for nearly 10 minutes, and Su He had already activated his first soul technique several times. Feeling that the soul power in his body was already less than half, Su He knew he was going to seek a way to break the situation. Helena's first soul skill, the Fox Fire Order, is a spiritual flame that has the effect of corrupting spiritual power, making it an extremely powerful soul skill. And Yen and Xiaoyu's first soul skill were both powerful attacking soul skills, which made Su He feel extremely tricky. "It's time to take the medicine, it's definitely me who will lose this way." Su He's expression remained unchanged, and he made up his mind. On the highest podium, Bibi Dong carefully scrutinized Su He, the child whose plan had been delayed for over a year. With top-notch talent, a calm mind, but not arrogant, she is still a good seedling, she thought so. Joining the Martial Soul Palace team to assist Nana is a good combat power. If Su He knew what Bai Bidong thought, he would sneer and embrace it. Su He was there all his life. The main characters in the Wulin Hall could only be him and Qian Renxue. Others were destined to become supporting role. However, the fate of the so-called supporting role is beyond the reach of normal people. Suha is not generally generous towards his own people, including his teacher, the Golden Crocodile, and his grandfather, the Lion. In the future, Suha will search for a suitable fairy grass for them to help them break through the level 99 level, let alone the Golden Generation. He wouldn't be like Tang San, who has a chicken belly and intestines to grind and kill donkeys. Since Wu Huan is already the Jedi Golden Lion, who is the king of beasts, he must have the tolerance and kindness of the king while maintaining his dignity. He will not always give a moral high ground explanation for his actions like Tang San, which Su He disdains. Returning to the battlefield, the situation had already heated up. Suddenly, when Su He launched his first soul skill, he appeared somewhat weak and sold an obvious flaw. As a sensitive attack-type soul master, Xiaoyu keenly grasped this point. He no longer has soul power, good opportunity, first soul skill, / Evil Moon lit up the first soul ring and quickly picked up the moon blade to chop towards Su He. The fish has taken the bait. Su He sneered, and 3,000 thunderbolts were instantly triggered, his figure flashing behind the evil moon. At this moment, Helena also discovered the trap and immediately activated the soul skill Fox Fire Order to support evil moon, while Su He ignored it and sneered. "Goodbye." At the moment when Fox Fire approached Su He, the Jedi Golden Lion soul suddenly roared, and a golden barrier appeared around Su He's body. Not breaking the golden body. Suha's unbreakable golden body, which he has been practicing hard in recent days, has finally come into use, and it has also prevented Helena's spiritual flame from causing minimal damage to Suha. The Fox Fire Order mysteriously disappeared when it hit Su He, and Su He also sent the evil moon out of the field with one strike. "Alright, next is a dozen or two." Su He smiled and stared closely at Yen and Hulaina's duo across from him. All 3 of them did not take immediate action, and Yen and Hulaina were afraid that Su He's body movements and abilities were too strange, and they dared not act rashly. For a moment, the scene became peaceful. At this moment, the evil moon that had flown backwards had already stood up and supported her arm to seek the healing soul master. Her forearm had already broken under the just blow. I'm waiting for my soul power to recover, what are you waiting for? He was a bit strange. If you don't fight, then I'll go. Immediately, the explosive step was launched, illuminating the first soul ring and punching the controlling soul master, Helena. Yen couldn't let him achieve his wish. The Flame Lord, as a top-level ancient martial soul, has strong melee combat ability and decent physical fitness, like a strong shield blocking in front of Helena. Seeing He wanting to break through his defense and attack him, Yen was extremely anxious because he had always admired Nana. During the battle, if there is a sense of urgency, there will be numerous flaws. Who said I'm going to hit her? He smiled, but Yen suddenly had an ominous premonition. Soon, he used a series of punches to knock Yen away. Now it's 1.1. He stared at Helena, clenched his fist, and made a clattering sound. He doesn't have a good impression of Helena, who is a safe trader on Blue Star and definitely wants to eat peanuts. Although those are all events that happened in the original work, today there is a chance to teach Helena Suha a lesson, so naturally he will not be lenient. Why are you so strong? Helena no longer had the confidence to start, but she still planned to give it a try. Pope Bibidon on stage did suddenly stand up and do something. Suha knew that Bibidong's move was using the ability of transmitting sound into the secret. In the original work, the heavenly elephant Hyanzan of the Elephant Armor sect had used this ability against the younger generation of the Elephant Armor Academy. Judge, let's give up. Helena immediately gave up on winning and went to visit her brother and Yen. Stage Task 2, completed, rewards have been distributed. The system's voice came in. Suha expressionlessly chose to go back and claim the reward, then looked at the stands. He knew that Bibidong had just used teleportation encryption. Bibidong also stared at Suhi, then took the lead in shifting his gaze and left the stands with his scepter. End of this chapter.